Hi, good afternoon. I'm Diana Watts. I'm the Information Governance Manager for Edinburgh Napier University. So what I'm going to say today, I'm sure, is nothing new to everybody. It's just a little chat about my journey, but I wouldn't normally talk about it, except that a lot of the things that you've been talking about today in terms of processes and information governance is quite pertinent to my journey. So the CPD that I'm talking about is just the background of how I got actually into information governance, and how CPD has helped me along the way quite a lot, actually. So yes, I like to exercise the grey matter, and it stood me in good stead. So identifying process improvements. Yes, the first job I had when I came over to the UK was the one that would lead me into information governance. It was a 6-month maternity cover contract, and it was an admin job. So I went into the job, had a look at the processes, and I was absolutely amazed at the amount of admin-intensive processes. So I was sitting there writing out invoices by hand, thinking, what? It's taking me days to do this. So I started to improve their processes. Unbeknown to me that this was process improvement, to me it was just common sense. You know, I'm not sitting writing out invoices for 5 days when I can stick them in a spreadsheet in 2 minutes. So I spoke to colleagues, I spoke to managers, and I started to make changes, and people were receptive. The lady in finance was fabulous, thank you. I used to hate those books of invoices. I love the spreadsheet, great. And so it went on, and it actually developed into their systems. They had some really clunky systems, and they were just printing out reminders for payments, and people didn't pay, and the same reminders went out. And I thought, hang on, why is this happening? I keep seeing the same reminders. Let's get that sorted out. So what that actually did is it led me on in the end into a systems thinking project, which of course, I don't know if all of you know the different terminology for process improvement, but that one was quite hot some years ago, the systems thinking style of process improvement. And that was the link for me in terms of records management, but more about that later on. So for now, sorry, I just wrote in very small writing on the way here, so I apologise. So that was the link. So process improvement and records management to me are actually in some respects part of the same thing. You know, when you're managing records, you're looking at processes, you're improving things, you're driving efficiency. So once I got into improving their processes, it seems that I couldn't stop myself, and I just kept on going. You know, once I'd finished with one thing, I would look around for something else, and I'd get started on that. So challenges and opportunities. I started to work with ICT colleagues to streamline in-house programs, and so I was learning about the programs, which was great. I was telling them the improvements we needed to make. Building those systems, updating contracts, more admin processes and practices, and by now management was starting to sit up and take notice, because I was, you know, cleaning up one after the other. I was going around saying to people, any processes that need cleaning up? And they'd be like, oh, it's her, oh, crikey, just give her something and send her off. And what happened then is the 6-month contract was extended for a year, and then I became permanent. They couldn't do without me. No, not really. They could do without me. But then again, I was drafted on, I was seconded onto the systems thinking project, and that then led on to, after a year on that project, management thought to themselves, right, as part of a government initiative, we've purchased an IRMS system and a CRM system, and look who's going to sort them out for us. So I learned to configure and administer the EDRMS system and the CRM system, which was mind-bending at times, but yeah, great fun. Worked closely with colleagues, started to learn a lot in a short period of time, and a lot about records management, obviously. And I was starting to identify my own gaps in my knowledge. You know, what do I need to know? Because I'm now dealing with everybody in the organisation, looking at their records, looking at their processes, and, you know, they're starting to ask me questions. But we had a records manager. Great, I've got somebody to turn to. However, she left. No. And then what happened is she wasn't, they didn't re-recruit for her role, or they may have re-recruited and not got somebody. But anyway, people started to ask me, and I stepped into the breach, and I was trying to answer the questions and thinking, I think I'm giving you the right answers, but I wonder if I am. Ding, ding, opportunity. Yeah, right. So I went to my manager and said, actually, I'm not qualified to answer these questions. I think I should have a qualification. I'm happy to do it, but I think I should have a qualification. So yeah, I was pretty sure I was giving the right answers, but yeah, it's nice to know that you are. So I went on a 2-day records management PDP training course, and that was a great networking opportunity. Spoke to lots of colleagues. The gentleman who ran it was absolutely fantastic, and he said, I think you should then get onto a master's degree, gave me a recommendation, these are the universities, this is what you need. And I thought, yeah, why not? So off I went. Started to look at the opportunities around that. So that was an Information and Records Management Masters with Northumbria University, and that was absolutely fantastic. That really was great. And doing that while I was doing the job was really good because it was challenging, but it was really good because what I was learning on the course, I was putting into the work that I was doing, and what I was doing at work, I was putting into the course. The one module was electronic records management. Thank you very much. We've just put in an EDRMS system, so I wrote about that. Yeah, easy. And some of the others on the course were saying, oh, this is difficult. We only deal in papers. I was like, oh, I'm so lucky. I've got the answers. I'm doing the work. So the distance, yeah, like I said, the distance course was challenging, but absolutely worthwhile. And as I'm always looking for opportunities, the opportunity for an NVQ came up, so I did it at the same time too. So yeah, always wanting to keep things exercised up there. So yes, I started to, on the previous slides, looking for the gaps and stepping into the gaps and looking for the gaps in my own knowledge. So on this one, I just wanted to talk around what's available, because I think for me, because I'm enthusiastic about clearly my own professional development and personal development. I'm open to the opportunity, so I'm always aware of what's going on. And some of the things that I'm sure, I mean, many of you have looked at already, but thinking about actually what does your organisation offer. So the organisations that I've worked for have offered quite a few very, very good courses as part of their induction processes and as part of their corporate professional processes. So things that I've had out of that are the European Computer Driver's License, the ILM in Management, lots of other courses, the EDRMS course, the SharePoint, the CRM, health and safety, lots of different systems, even a GIS system. So yeah, lots of different things there. And the other thing is what comes up in your organisation from time to time to support further training. So it may be that, so in particular, that my previous employer actually had specialist funding pots available, but were only available for application once a year, and actually not always every year. And if you didn't see the notice on the intranet that it was on for that couple of days before it was full up, you missed out on the opportunity. So I actually learnt about that. I had missed it, and I learnt about it from a colleague in HR because we were talking about her system. And she said, oh yes, we're just about to launch that. And I was like, oh right, now I know this year I'm going to be on that. And that was what I did my MSc through. You may need a business case. I did have to do a lot of business, quite an elaborate business case for the masters. The other things are what's available from your department budget, and I think that's the one most people would look to. So you're having your PDR and seeing what's, looking for the gaps in your own skills and thinking about what you need to do the work that you've got coming up, that you're planning in your PDR. And maybe, events, it might be paid events. There's lots of different, I'm sure you've all been bombarded with events, and I have to say some are useful and some are not. I went on one earlier this year which had a fabulous write-up, and I was deeply disappointed. So, it's just made me think I have to be, thinking more about looking at the feedback. Because of the person that was running the course, I thought, great, but I didn't look at the feedback, which I normally would do for other courses. So just a note of caution, everything, as I'm sure you know, is not always as wonderful as it's labelled. The other thing is what's available free. So we've got today's events like today's, sector meetings, other allied meetings. I went on a Scottish Council on Archives event earlier this year, which was free, and it was absolutely brilliant. Really, really fantastic. So yeah, webinars. I look at quite a few webinars, and obviously professional and allied publications. And of course, these days, LinkedIn now, although the training on LinkedIn may not be free, but it's still the networking opportunities. So identifying CPD and planning, I think for me, I perhaps might not be too good at this one. I tend to just, when the opportunity presents itself, I might be mulling it over in my mind, and then I'll jump on it, when the opportunity presents. So I can't say I'm brilliant at the planning. But basically, identifying the gap, thinking about what you need. And if people are asking you questions and perhaps you're not thinking, am I the person to answer this, that might be identifying a gap for you, as it was for me. Thinking about what you need to do to achieve it, what's available, what resources and support. And I think support for information governance professionals or information professionals is absolutely key, as we all know, getting support from managers in particular. And also what your success criteria will be. I'm rattling through this quite quickly. Yeah, I'll be happy to know. So long-term goals, this is another one that I particularly am not great at. I could be better, but I am always looking for opportunities. And is Mike gone? Oh, there he is. Mike, sign me up. I've found my next opportunity, so I'll be coming along to the IRMS in January. And also thinking about, I think sometimes challenges. When I've been given challenges in the past, I've used those. I love a challenge, and I've used those for my own benefit and promoting my CPD. One system which isn't really information and records management, it was the National Land and Property Gazetteer that we had where I worked previously, wasn't in a good state, and again they thought, guess who'll fix it for us, because we were under pressure. So I took it, fixed it, and we started to win awards for it. So that was also good for my own, my personal development and also for my professional development. Yeah, it was great. It was just so rewarding, and colleagues were finding the system useful. And I think it's the same, just looking for goals and challenges. So that's the final slide, and it's just the crux of my message is look for opportunities and absolutely go for it. On the way here, I actually saw a few quotes which I thought would be quite pertinent to today. It was, actually, that is just relevant to what I'm about to talk about. And one of them was, my goal is not to be better than anyone else, but better than I used to be. And I think that was Wayne Dyer. The other thing was you can't keep doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. So those were two I thought spot on, just what I need on the way here. So thank you very much for listening.